What up, sports fans? Waxon Wednesday, Jake Waxman, Tyler Level, let two guys talk sports. Let's go. Happy hockey season, everyone. Let's begin the day by making some predictions for the NHL season. How accurate are these predictions going to be? I can't tell you. Probably highly inaccurate. Let's be real. I'm not good at predicting the playoffs. And you know what? Part of it is the NHL is in an age where it's extremely competitive. You just never know who's really going to win it all, let alone who's going to make the playoffs. So I'll start with the Eastern Conference. So here's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to make some predictions, and I got a bold one. I'll start with the Metropolitan Division. I think the Hurricanes take the Metropolitan Division, followed by the Devils, Rangers, and Islanders. The Islanders get that wild card spot. So that's my predictions there. So Hurricanes, Devils, Rangers, Islanders. I still think the Rangers have plenty of talent to make the playoffs. Cup run, I don't know. Devils could be a team that makes a cup run in this season. Hurricanes, we'll see where they're at, but I still think they're the best in the Metropolitan. Atlantic Division. I'm going to go with this. Panthers win the Atlantic Division, followed by the Leafs, Bruins. Actually, I'm going to switch that. I'll actually go with this. Panthers, Bruins, Maple Leafs. And then for the wild card, I'm actually going to go with the Red Wings. I think the Red Wings make that playoff push this year, and they make it back to the postseason. So, and my bold prediction for the Atlantic is this. Tampa Bay misses the playoffs. They just barely, but I predict they're going to miss the playoffs. It's going to be a battle between them and the Red Wings for that final playoff spot. So I just going to say that Atlantic Division is going to be so tight. And you know what? There are other teams like the Senators and Sabres who are improving as a team. So all those teams that I mentioned, it's still going to be tough for them to get to the postseason. But for the Atlantic, I'm going to go with, of course, the Panthers, Bruins, Maple Leafs, and Red Wings making the postseason. And on to the Western Conference. We'll start Central Division. Avalanche, Stars, Wild. And for the wild card, this is really, really tough. I'll come back to that in a minute. Pacific Division. Here's who I like. In the Pacific, I think I'm going to go with Golden Knights, Kraken, Oilers. Actually, I'm going to go with this. Oilers, Golden Knights, Kraken. Okay, yeah. Oilers, Golden Knights, Kraken. And the team that comes out of the Pacific Division with the wild card, I'm going to go with the Canucks. I think the Canucks make a playoff run. So I think they'll be one of my surprise teams. And then as far as the others go, you know what? I'm going to make a bold prediction. And I am going to say, you know what? I'm going to say Nashville for the Central Division wild card. I almost thought about picking two from the Pacific, but it's tight there. I'm going to go with the Predators just sneaking into the playoffs as a wild card. I think the Jets, a team that made it last year, will miss it this year. So, all right, that's my playoff predictions. We'll see how accurate I am. I'm willing to eat crow if however inaccurate I am, that's how much crow I will eat for it. So, my predictions for the regular season of the NHL. And now I'll move on and talk about my Blackhawks. I'm going to start by first predicting this. The Blackhawks I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, all right? I don't think they will. But my gut also tells me they're a better team than I think we all thought, even by myself. Last night against the Penguins, they actually rallied from a 2-0 deficit to win the game against the Penguins. It scored four unanswered goals to win that game. I think that while this will not be a playoff season for the Blackhawks, they'll be entertaining to watch. And I think that, it's developmental year, but there will be some good strides taken forward. Of course, we all know about Connor Bedard. He had a solid NHL debut, getting a point based on getting an assist off the first goal the Blackhawks scored. So, I think it's going to be a developmental year. I don't think he's going to hit the 40-goal hash. I'm going to go say this. It would not surprise me if he gets no more than, say, 15 to 20 goals this season, because I think this will be a developmental year. I'd say 20 at the very least for Bedard, but it maybe more. It's hard to say, because I think he's really going to have to learn a lot of things. There's plenty he can improve on. I mean, his stick handling's pretty good, takes plenty of shots, but also got to not hold on to that puck too long and turnovers. And he's definitely going to have to work on faceoffs. But a lot of centers who first come into the NHL got to work on centers there. But there's plenty to like about the young man's game. And but I do think this is going to be a developmental year, and he's going to learn a lot. And I think he's going to get better as the season goes on. Other names for the Blackhawks to keep an eye on: Lucas Reichel. That's a guy that I really like. I think he's a guy that the Blackhawks fans in the NHL are going to have to watch for. Taylor Hall, I think, the veteran Taylor Hall, I think he is going to be very key for the Blackhawks this season. And yes, Corey Perry, another guy. I'm not the biggest Perry fan. Hey, a Corey Perry fan, or I wasn't when he was with the Ducks. Hey, I think he is going to be a big-time asset for the Blackhawks this season, though. That experience is going to pay dividends, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's giving teams a lot of headaches this season. So, three guys to watch besides Bedard on this team, and plenty of other pieces. But I look at this team, all right? I look at this Blackhawks team, and I will say, okay, they're not going to be a great team. They're not going to be a good team this year, but they're not. I don't think they're not going to be horrible this year. The sun is rising on a new era for the Blackhawks, of course, and the rebuild finally getting underway. I'm going to miss Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane. Of course, Connor Bedard, if you ask me, reminds me of both Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane. He's got both of those. Like, if those two, we combine both Toews and Kane into one player. Looks something like Bedard. So, honestly, while I don't think the Blackhawks are going to be a team that makes the postseason, but they will be fun to watch. And I think they're going to be much improved this season. So, that is, we'll call it more or less my predictions on the Blackhawks this season. All right. Okay, so the Chicago Bears, they proved me wrong. They won a football game. How about that? So now, question is, now that they won against a Commanders team that maybe isn't as good as advertised, of course, they blew them out in their own stadium. DJ Moore, monster game with 3 touchdowns. He had a big game. Helped Fields out a lot. And Fields' best game of his career. And maybe not statistically, but it was definitely the best game of his career because he won, of course. And at the end of the day, the team won, and that's what counts. Now, this throws the whole trade Justin Fields scenario into a frenzy, doesn't it? Now, do the Bears hold on to him now? Because is this the point where he finally emerges and his confidence only goes up, and no matter how the Bears do the rest of the season, he plays well enough to remain their quarterback? So now what do you do if you're the Bears? That's the great question. Maybe you don't trade him. Maybe you hold on to him, and instead of drafting Caleb Williams in this upcoming NFL draft, say you don't earn the number 1 pick, or even if you still do, maybe you don't take a quarterback. Maybe you keep Justin Fields and you focus those two high first-round draft picks on, say, Marvin Harrison Jr., because I think the Bears do need more weapons, and maybe with that other first-round pick, you use that on a defensive end and upgrade your defensive line and get someone who can get pressure on the quarterback. Because there's needs all around the block for the Bears. They are not a good team, okay? They got a W, which is good. They're not going winless. They proved me wrong. No 0-17. Thank goodness for that. I did say 0-18, so I'm a little calm for saying that. So there are not 18 games. There's only 17. There's just 18 weeks in the season. But the Bears are not going winless, so I feel better about that. And maybe perhaps we reconsider trading Justin Fields. Maybe we hold on to him. Maybe. It all depends on what he does from here on out. If he continues to ball out, even if the Bears don't do better, then probably you have to consider holding on to him and building more of a team around him. Use those 2 high draft picks on other needs, like getting some weapons and upgrading that defense. Defense desperately needs upgrades in this for next season. So just so now, this is just really my thoughts, and really the question now is, what's in it? What's next for Justin Fields going forward? Are the Bears really thinking about trading him, or are they going to hold on to him and maybe reconsider taking a quarterback like Caleb Williams in the NFL draft and upgrading much other needs? Remember, getting a great quarterback is one thing in the draft, but not building the team around him is less than ideal. That'll ruin his career really, really fast. And I'd rather the Bears not ruin the career of another quarterback. If Justin Fields is the guy, then he's the guy. Let's keep him and build more around him. If not, then if he continues to stumble, then we still consider either trading him or moving on from him. But I hope that young man continues to prove me wrong, continues to prove Bears fans wrong, and continue to show that, hey, he's the guy for the Bears. I hope that's what continues to happen. I'm rooting for this kid. Go, Justin, go. All right, finally, let's move on to this day in sports history. And on this day, the 11th of October in the year 2020, the great one, Lewis Hamilton in 2020. So British Mercedes driver Lewis Hamilton wins the Eiffel Grand Prix at Germany's Nürburgring Speedway to equal Michael Schumacher's record of 91 Formula One victories. Impressive feat, without doubt. All right, sports fans, that is all I got for this week. Thanks for watching this week's Waxon Wednesday. And Jake Waxman from Two Guys Talk Sports signing off.